Hello everyone. Today we are going to start or continue with the earlier topic that is related to software design and principles concepts part 1, in which we studied about the data abstraction, the information hiding, and the stepwise refinement. So we are going to continue with that in terms of next other two concepts which are majorly used in design, that is modularity and the functional independence. So first of all, starting with the modularity, understanding the concept of modularity, what actually modularity means. So when software is divided into separately named addressable components, often called as modules, that are integrated to satisfy problem requirements. That is what modularity is. But in generalized terms, let me tell you and let me make you understand that when I say modularity, that means what I'm going to do is actually I have a problem that can be considered as a complex problem, and this particular problem is divided into number of small tasks, and these particular tasks, let's say T1, T2, can be further divided into subtasks. So this particular subtasks are the ones which are forming as a module and which are actually addressable modules. Addressable in the sense which can be easily managed or easily solution can be provided to these particular modules. And then further these particular modules can be integrated and can be provided to a solution for the complex problems. So it helps you or it makes easier to manage a complex problem. So that is what we are saying here is software is divided into separately named. That means these modules are named and addressable components for which the solution is provided. These are called as modules, and then they are integrated to satisfy the problem requirements. Next point, this leads to a divide and conquer conclusion. It's easier to solve a complex problem when you break it into manageable pieces. We are already aware of this term divide and conquer. This particular is used when we have a bigger problem and which is not easy to solve. So what we do is we break it into small problems and which are manageable actually, which can be provided with a solution. And then we integrate it to provide a full or complete solution. It has been stated that modularity is a single attribute of software that allows a program to be intellectually managed or manageable. So this is how we intellectually manage the software, and it is considered to be a single attribute, or it is a concept which helps to solve a complex problem in an easier manner. Now, modularity is supported by these particular terms. That is, a design method supports effective modularity if it evidences. So these should be included in the modularity. First is decomposability. Decomposability is obviously modularity will be formed only when we are going to decompose the problem. But this particular decomposition should be a systematic mechanism. That means we should not decompose a problem in abrupt way, but it should be a systematic control and systematic mechanism should follow for decomposing the problem. Next one is composability. Composability means we are going to reuse these particular modules in the new system. So these particular modules, which are small problem solutions, they can be reused, which makes it more profitable. So this is what composability is. Next one is understandability. Understandability is the module can be understood as a standalone unit. See, these modules should be the type of product which can work independently, right? If these modules can work independently, only then they can be reused with minor changes in new systems also, and it can be understood easily. Next one is continuity. Continuity is minimizes change induced side effects. So change is minimized with the help of continuity and less is protection. So we should minimize the error to induce the side effects, minimizes error induced side effects. So with the help of modularity, we can protect it from the errors. We can minimize the errors. So these should be included in the modularity. Now, modularity as a point of concern. Why I have written that modularity can be a point of concern, that is, when we are saying that we are dividing a problem into number of small problems, small modules, then what should be the right number of modules for a specific software design? How this can be assured and how this can be defined? What should be the right number of modules? So this particular right number of modules is necessary to understand, because if we exceed the number of modules, then it will lead to higher cost, which will be included in the development. So higher software development cost will be included, plus the code will become lengthier. It can become lengthier, and the cost of software integration can also be increased. So these particular increasing number of modules can lead to high development cost, high integration cost, and the total cost of the software, right? It can also affect the lengthy codes. So let's see here, you can see this particular graph. This particular x-axis is showing the number of modules, y-axis is showing the total cost of the software, and it is showing the pink number as optimal number of modules. So when we have lower number of modules and it is increasing, when we have low number of modules, even then the cost is high, you can say. And as the number is increasing, as the number of modules is increasing, the cost is getting less. But there is a point, that is the saturation point. This is the region of the minimum cost. That means here the number of modules is decreasing the total cost. But when you exceed this particular number of modules, that means you are breaking the problem into more number of modules, then the cost is again increasing, right? So this is the region of the minimum cost. Right? Why the cost will be increased, development cost will be increased for module and integration cost will be increased. As the number of modules will increase, the integration cost will also be increased, and that will lead to the cost of software. Now see, this is the graph for the software cost that is shown for modularity, number of modules. Right number of modules, this is the region for the right number of modules, and this is the region of the minimum cost, which can be seen as the dash, right, with the M. This is cost or effort. See, cost and effort both are increasing with the lower number of modules and with the exceeding of number of modules. So this is to be taken care of. That means we should understand that the number of modules should limit to a point where it does not increase the cost of the software plus the effort for the software by increasing the development cost of modules and the integration cost of modules. So that is what we have defined in this particular modularity and software cost. Now, what are the disadvantages of modularity? As I have already told you, these are certain points which we need to remember. Execution time may be, right, or may not, certainly longer. I am just omitting out, but not certainly, because I am talking here about when we have exceeded the number of modules, only then these disadvantages will come. So with the increased number of modules, this particular disadvantages are shown. So execution time will take longer. Storage space, obviously it will be needed more. Compilation and loading time will take longer. Inter-module communication problems may increase because if we have 4 modules and if we have 20 modules, so the problem of inter-module communication will be increasing with the more number of modules. More linkage will be required. Runtime may take longer. More source line must be written and more documentation has to be done. So you can see more of efforts are to be needed. More efforts are needed and the cost will also increase, plus the efficiency of the software can get lower. The performance may get decreased, right? With the help of storage size, compilation time, execution time, intermodule communication, linkage required, runtime, documentation, and source lines, right? So these are the main disadvantages if we are increasing the number of modules up to after a certain level, which is not required. So the right decision is understanding how many modules is to be defined for a software. Now we come to modular design. Modular design reduces the design complexity. We have already seen to solve or to easily conquer the complex problem, we can reduce the design complexity by making the design as modular using the modular approach. It results in easier and faster implementation by allowing parallel development of various parts of a system. So the parallel development can also take place and implementation is easier and faster. Now comes the second point, that is the after modularity, we have functional independence. Now functional independence is what? This is again the major, the design principle or concept which is used in design with the data abstraction, with the stepwise refinement, with information hiding, with modularity, and this one is the last, that is the functional independence. So functional independence is achieved by developing a module to perform given set of functions without interacting with other parts of the system. We can, achieve this particular functional independence means the two modules should not be dependent on each other to perform the function of its own. Let's say this is module 1. It should or it can work independently. Then this independence is achieved. And if it needs the help of this particular module, it needs to interact, and the dependency is from this module too to perform its function, then the dependency is there among these two modules, right? So it can be measured with the help of two criteria. There are two measures we can help with the help of which we can measure the functional independence among the modules. First is called as the cohesion and second one is called as the coupling. Design modules based on independent functional features. Now, for a good design, the cohesion should be high and the coupling should be low. For a good design, the cohesion should be high and coupling should be low. Let's understand why and what are these two. First of all, the cohesion. What is cohesion? Cohesion is the degree of interaction within a module. Here we are talking about the single module. If I'm talking about M1, then the degree of interaction with or among the components and elements within this particular module is defined as the cohesion. A measure of functional strength is defined in the module, which is termed as cohesion. So this is what we say as cohesion, and that is why we strive, or a good quality design strive for high cohesion. Because a good module will be termed only when it is having the functional strength or the degree of interaction within the module is high, right? Next one is, now we can see the different types of cohesion, which are termed as functional cohesion, sequential cohesion, communication cohesion, procedural cohesion, temporal, logical, and coincidental. Now you can see that these particular cohesions, as the higher the cohesion is, the better the cohesion, the quality of design is. So the functional cohesion has the high degree of cohesion, and the coincidental cohesion has the lowest degree of cohesion. So that is why the functional cohesion is termed to be as the best cohesion, and coincidental cohesion is termed to be as the worst cohesion for a design. Now let's understand what the coupling is. Earlier we were talking about the degree of interaction within a module, but here we are talking about the degree of interaction between different modules. So that is defined as the coupling. Coupling can be defined as the degree of interaction between modules or among different modules. Now there are various types of coupling techniques we use. First of all, the uncoupled or no dependency. That means if we have these 4 modules, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there is completely no interaction between these 2 modules, these are completely isolated. That means these are uncoupled. Next one, we have low degree of communication or interaction among the 4 modules. This is loosely coupled. That means some dependency is there, but they are not highly coupled. So this is loosely coupled. Third type is the highly coupled. That means you can see the strength or the degree of interaction among the modules is very high, or many dependencies can be seen among the modules. So that is defined as highly coupled. And I have told you that for a good quality design, there should be low coupling. That means the functional dependency should be low among the modules, but it should be high within the module. So there are certain types of coupling we can see. Those are no direct coupling, data coupling, stamp coupling, control coupling, external coupling, common coupling, and content coupling. Now in this, no direct coupling is the lowest degree of coupling. This is the lowest degree of coupling, while content coupling is the highest degree of coupling. And as we know that for a good design, the coupling should be low among the modules. So that is why no direct coupling is considered to be as the best coupling, and the content coupling is considered to be as the worst coupling. And this is how the degree is increasing in the coupling. So I think that's all for modularity and functional independence. Thank you very much.